So we're recording right now, Megan?
Good. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 10:06. I'll stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible.
Indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
We can roll call, please.
Treasurer Ron Lynch, Director Leroy Pinder, President Phil Potter,
Here.
Vice President Dolores Schlicker,
Here.
Secretary Robert Turek, present. Director Kelly Von Fintel.
Here.
Director Pam McKinnon is running late. She will be here. And Member at Large Commissioner Carolyn Brumman.
Here.
Okay, the approval of the agenda.
The only thing I would say with the agenda, I didn't want to print off a whole nother sheet just to add one thing. After the director's additional comments and concerns, then we can enter into closed session to discuss with our legal counsel some ongoing issues, and then the public can be dismissed at that time. But I just didn't print that out. That's the only thing that needs to be added.
Need a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda with the added stuff.
Motion by Schlicker, seconded by Von Fennel, to add the closed session under director's additional comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the minutes from our March 25th meeting.
I have a question on the minutes.
Yeah.
We discussed charging, for the renting the hall. Can we discuss that at this time, or can we do it a little bit later in the meeting?
That would be good. That would be from the-
Later in the meeting, okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes then.
Motion by Schlicker, seconded by Rowan, to adopt the minutes from our March 25th regular meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We need a ratification of the executive committee action appointing new directors. We have two new directors, one is present. Would you like to read it?
I'll read it out for the record. The first one is dated April 2nd, 2025. Therefore, the ACCOA Executive Committee, via unanimous vote, appoints Lori Sesney to the ACCOA Board of Directors effective immediately to fill a vacant seat whose term is set to expire September 30th, 2027. And I would motion we accept that recommendation.
I'll second.
You make a motion? Who did? Who made the motion?
Dr. Turek.
I'll make it that we ratify this executive
Motion
committee
by-
action.
Motion by Turk, seconded by Schlicker to adopt executive committee action of appointing new directors. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Yeah, from Lori.
And then the next one is for Ty Damon. I skipped over that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what do you-
The second one says, therefore, the ACCOA Executive Committee via unanimous vote appoints Ty Damon to the ACCOA Board of Directors effective immediately to fill a vacant seat whose term is set to expire September 30th, 2025. So I would move that we ratify that executive committee action.
Need a second?
I'll second that one also.
Motion by Turk, seconded by Schlicker to appoint Ty to our executive committee, action appointing new directors. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Move on to public comment, limit 2 minutes per person. Please give your name and township.
Dan O'Connor, representing Oklahoma Schools, but also Caledon Township as well. Did this for 3 minutes, it'll make Haber Township meetings 2 minutes here. So, you have a pamphlet in front of you already that, has our 2 renewal proposals that are on the ballot on May 6th. First renewal proposal is for operating millage to 18 mills. That's something that came about for schools that we challenged past, and proposal A, which is there on 1991. That provides most of our local revenue for our operating budget. The second renewal is just under 1 mil for a sinking fund. Sinking fund has very, very strict rules where essentially we're fixing things that you can't move, for very permanent structures of the district. This would be year 11 through 15 if successful on the renewal proposal. I can't tell you to vote yea or nay, but what I can do is present information on I have my number on their email, any comments or questions that you may have, I'm happy to walk through. We do have an open walkthrough meeting on May 1st, from 6 to 7 o'clock, kind of a walking tour to go through some of the projects and just kind of say what we've done and some of the things that are actually moving forward. Again, that plan is tentative because a couple years ago, we had a boiler stack go on top of each other and we had to alter the plans to obviously bump that up prior to us at that point. So I think I'll probably fast a few minutes. So.
You said that's May 1st?
May 1st, 6 o'clock. Gotta bring your walking shoes over.
That at the school?
Yeah, meet right in front of the middle high school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any other comments? We'll close the public comment, go to presentations. We have Sarah Jane from Real Estate One, our ACCOA property manager. He's here to answer any questions or give a presentation on where we are.
Turn the mic on.
And it's gotta, seems to have to be moved real close to your mouth, it seems like. But it should have the green light on if it's ready to go. Yeah.
All right, so far, we have 5 out of the 8 bungalows rented, secured with tenants. We have a couple more showing the fleet for tenants coming in. I had a lot of applications coming in. I talked to a plethora of tenants, possible tenants. And it's kind of all over the place with, where people are at income-wise, requirements that we have to rent them out to them. But so far, I feel like we're looking really good. We have a couple left to get rented out, so. And let me answer any questions you have.
So one of the questions we keep getting asked, a lot of it had to do with when is the move-in date? We couldn't answer them. A lot of people said, why aren't they rented? Well, you don't have a move-in date. Now we have a move-in date. A lot of people was asking about water.
Yeah,
Water's on.
that's probably one of the number one setback for people signing on with us. So I get inquiries, hey, I heard about you from senior housing, what can you tell me about it? And when we go through everything, it's number one, we have income verification setbacks, so their income just not being enough to qualify for the monthly rent that we have. The median income in this area is $45,000 annually. In order to hit the $1,000 monthly rental, you have to have $40,000 in an annual salary, following the 30% rule of thumb. So that's been limiting for people, as well as when I talk with them and say, okay, well, I'm not exactly sure when our move-in date is, seniors love to plan. They love a yes, no answer. They like to know what the expectations are. So when I didn't have a for sure date to give them leading up to this last month, they're like, okay, well, give me a call when you know, so that's been a hurdle that I've been trying to overcome.
I have a question on, do we have any kind of a contract to, for the client or the one that's renting? For when they, because I was talking with Brad Cole about that and he rents properties out. He said we should really protect ourselves because if grandma moves in and grandma gets sick, then the granddaughter moves in to take care of her with 2 little kids. How long can this granddaughter stay with kids? And if she can only stay for 30 days, what's to keep her from moving out for 2 weeks, going camping, come back in for another 30 days? Do we have that in writing to protect us from that, something like that happening?
Yeah, and I'll probably have a copy of what our lease entails. It goes through a plethora of yes and no, right? Like this is allowed, this is not allowed. There is variables in that, people be finding ways around things, and if we are presented with an issue like that, then it's on us to take them to court and go through all the processes that we have to show, hey, you're breaking your lease, you're voiding this, to get that taken care of.
Roland, could you swap out your microphone with her? She might have one that the batteries were left in and she doesn't have any power. It's an obsolete system anyway. I had a couple questions that people had come to me with also that I'm sure you'll be able to answer. Dolores brought up Brad Cole the other day. I spoke to him personally. He has experience with renting. He says, quote unquote, $1,000 a month is very, very fair. He says that's right in the ballpark. He was thinking several $100s more. So I'd like your opinion on the actual pricing. I know what Brad Cole says. I'd like to ask the expert.
Yeah.
$1,000 a month.
To what I said about annual income. We have to be right around $40,000 for them to qualify to be at $1,000 a month payment. If not, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. The center is, because if they're not within that area, if you factor in all of their other bills and everything else that they have to pay for, what's the last thing that's going to get paid? They're housing, because that went up again. Sorry, guys, I'll just talk a little louder
Yeah.
to help. So it's in our best interest to follow that 30% rule. So we're not setting the center up for failure in terms of somebody not making payments or not being able to make payments, and then us having to go through an eviction process, which takes, several months, and losing out on just not having to let it that high.
Here's a good idea.
And losing out on that, all of that monthly income during that time.
Now, one of the other things I heard was, why are we using a property manager from Alpena? Okay, and what's different about her than somebody else? Well, can you explain your licensing and your qualifications more? Plus, I think it helped that you were one of the only people who responded, right? Or the only person, so you had a leg up to begin with, but.
No, so I broker through Real Estate One of Alpena. We have a large portfolio of rentals within our brokerage. I would say probably have at least 100 rentals that we manage. So I have a very good, solid foundation of my broker, other agents. We all work together to be able to have the knowledge, right? If I don't know something, I'm gonna go to one of them and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? Have you ran into this situation? So I feel like our rental base of knowledge is really well at Real Estate One. We're exposed to it every single day, so we're dealing with it every day. It's not just like a side gig for us. So I also think that, Alpena really is not very far away from Lincoln. We have a larger population. People stop into our office all the time. So we have a lot of connection not just in Alpena community, but the surrounding area.
And there's some specific, since you're handling the money for us, there's some specific things that you can do that somebody else can't do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you just have somebody on the board handle it, then you're gonna have to, the seller themselves are gonna have to deal with all of the finances and everything. You couldn't just bring somebody on and have them do what I do without having that broker license to umbrella the finances part of it.
And then the other thing, I mean, it's not unusual during the middle of a winter, people aren't thinking about moving or rentals. I mean, how much of the problem, or I wouldn't say problem, the fact that not all 8 are rented is due to it's been a long lousy winter and people really, real estate starts to pick up this time of year into June, right?
We see this fluctuation in home sales as well. You know, I kind of look at it from both sides. Sometimes like, well, that, you know, not a lot of activity. Sometimes means there's more availability for buyers or renters. But you're absolutely right, especially because of the demographic that we're using. The seniors, it's not as easy for them to pack everything up and make a move in the middle of winter. We also, with not having a secure move-in date, that's been a real setback for me as well when dealing with potential tenants. You know, and I think, this is what I have for you, but I don't know when you can move in yet. We don't have everything set. You know, we're still tidying up and finishing things on the bungalows. That is a setback for people. They want to know, this is what I'm getting. Even when I did some walkthroughs with folks, they wanted to turn the water on and, you know, what is the pressure like? And, you know, things like that, people flush toilets and all of that. So, it's just been a little bit of a setback there with that.
And then the last thing I had was, can you tell as a real estate person, or is it just things, that's why I wanted Andy here at the same time, that when he's built a property up to, let's say, commercial standards, is that things that are visibly that you can see, or is that mainly hidden things? Or is that kind of like that somebody, when you bring somebody in, that you can say, this was so much better? I mean, I know it was done that way for our benefit, that we're going to have less maintenance costs and it's a better building. Can you tell that and present that to people?
There's some things you can't see, right? But when I'm walking my potential tenants through, I'm telling them all of the things that I've gained from talking with Andy, talking with Bill, you know, that the crawl space was extra insulated, well insulated. Everything's up to standard, so your efficiency in your utilities is going to be better. The square footage, the footprint of it is going to make it better, cost effective for the tenants. We talked about the Generac generator being a huge asset to the property. There's a lot of, you know, seniors that require electricity for things that, you know, if power goes out and then they're sitting there without, you know, being able to plug in certain things. So that's a huge asset. I touched on that. The central air for them, the easy access to the property, the bathrooms are set up for senior living in mind. All of those things I touch on as we go through, as well as just there, you know, there's any cost in terms of the appliances and the furnishings in there, the countertops, all of the, you know, everything like that. So I touch in on all of that as we go through.
If this property was in Alpena, what would you list it for rent? These bungalows?
Senior as well, like you're seeing nothing different about them.
I would say, yeah, it's comparable, apples to apples, if it was senior only.
I think that our original pricing that we came to was the 1,400
Mhm.
for sure. But not much more than that. I think it would still be right around the 1,000 to 1,400 range.
If I'm not mistaken, Andy and I talked about if they were to buy it, what the interest rate they would pay in interest if they were to buy that house. And it was around 11.25, my 11.40, wasn't that what you and I was?
Yeah, well, if you own the house, of course, you'd be paying the the taxes, the insurance, you'd have, the other costs with that, more maintenance and what have you. But yeah, they're getting a great deal. I mean, if I, I'm seeing it right now, I'm looking at, projects in Alpena. And to offer something like this, the cost to that person is gonna be north of 1,500 for sure, at around a 6 to 7% interest rate. So I think they're getting a great deal. And going to Bob's question, there's, so within the houses, there's, it's everything, right? It's the windows, it's the level of finish on the drywall, it's the quality of the cabinets, the quality of the floor. And I think, I hadn't been in the houses for a couple of months because there's no reason to go back there. And then with turning the water on and everything, I did. And I walked in, I'm like, hey, these are really nice. You get that kind of feeling when you come in there. So I think you're gonna have no problem running. And again, this is all at the, I've done so many projects, we brought on 100 units at the same time. So take 8 times, 12, and you've got the same kind of thing at the beginning of every project, because you're trying to establish these turnover dates, and it's a challenge. But so once we get past this, so you just be going on to occasional turnovers, and then every time you have someone that moves out, you can revisit the rent. So you just see how that goes. If you feel there's room to make a move, then you can do that. You really either way just see how it goes. But yeah, the first part of renting a new project is always a bit of a challenge. Well, I think Sarah's doing great. And again, there were other factors. You had this big, obvious construction site, and it just wasn't an appealing thing that wanted to drive through that to your house. Plus it was dangerous. That was the number one thing beyond water and anything, was just that I just didn't feel comfortable having people go through. I'm a little nervous right now. I'm kind of figuring out how we're gonna make sure we don't have interactions, but I think we're now right at that point where at least it's reasonably safe to move it. So I think that was really, I'd rather, if we wanted, as the circumstances go forward, if the circumstances were slightly different, these things would be already set up. And I think going forward, you're gonna have no problem keeping these things full.
I agree with Andy, absolutely. I want to touch too, with the storm that happened and the 3 branches that were down. I haven't been back in about 5 days to a week or so. But I mentioned to you, Wendy, but there's a lot of things going on with the center, and everybody's busy doing their stuff. And I thought, what a good opportunity for like the National Honor Society to go out and get volunteer hours and help to clear some of that up or get that ready. That was just something I noted while I was there, because again, like you said, Andy, it is dangerous in certain capacity. There were things in the garages that were still being stored. So when I'm walking my tenants through them, please be careful, don't trip, watch your step. Or when we're walking into the next bungalow to check it out, there's just, the ground is uneven still and whatnot. And so it was a concern for me too as well. I had an 89-year-old lady that, was walking the properties with me, and I was just on edge, and she's like, please be careful. So it's been a little bit challenging in that regard.
That might be, do you guys have community service bands or graduate?
Activity groups. They're already over one. Sometime we have National Society adoption tomorrow night. So.
I just wanted to make a comment. The comment about the rent in Alpena, I think this area though would get a different rent than Alpena would. So we need to make sure that we're keeping that in mind. That this is not Alpena. And second, I had a question about the maintenance and how that's being planned and who's going to be overseeing and, being in Alpena if they have problems.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So Phil and I have been in contact about this several different times, just trying to get everything set. So, and so correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think what's gonna happen is we'll have our set list of, these are the contractors that have worked on the property. They know, these are the heating and cooling guys. They know the property, so we're gonna go to them first. And then I believe we're gonna try to have a maintenance person on staff at the center So if a client calls me and say, hey, my toilet's clogged or this or that, I'm gonna say, okay, no problem, give me a minute here. I'll connect with whoever I need to at the center and we'll get them sent out and handle it. I think that'll be the most seamless way to do it. So hopefully that'll be what happens.
And I told Sarah if she couldn't get a hold of somebody, she could always get a hold of me. And Andy will provide her with who contracted the heating, the plumbing, the electrical. So if something does go wrong, Sarah will contact them, and contact Wendy, whoever,
Okay,
for me.
and they're all on board and to be able to respond quickly.
Oh, yeah, I hope they are. It'd be like a normal, you know, if you got here and they say, well, yeah, it's an emergency. I think you'll be on board. I think it was Hearns. Did Hearns do stuff too? Yeah. Oh, everything's pretty local.
We call somebody, they're pretty good about getting here ASAP, or
Right.
whatever it may be.
And if we do have setbacks in that, I have a list of people I work with regularly on my rentals in the Alpena area that I know that they would say, yeah, not a problem, I'll run down there. One of our main maintenance guys lives closer to you guys here than he does to Alpena. And I can call him same day and he will squeeze me in if it's something that needs to be touched in that day.
Yeah, I had my own property management firm for many years, so I know what you can get and the call you get, especially with the senior.
Yeah.
population.
And I did print out, and I'll be putting these in every single unit, before move-in date. Just a, what their address is, emergency contact, me, real estate one, the office at the center, Phil's number, so they have a plethora of information here. I also have printed out for them, all of their utilities, right? So this is who you need to contact, this is how you set this up. And internet was something that I wanted to touch on at some point too. I'm not sure if we solidified that or not, but yeah, so they'll have everything they need. They'll have their contact numbers. They'll be able to keep it up front and center. So hopefully we don't run into any situations where, oh, I didn't know who to call, so I just let this lie. So trying to be proactive in that forefront.
Right. Yeah. The other question, I had heard something about financing or that there was some sort of program available.
So Mishta, is the only one really that, like a individual can reach out to and say, I need help with my rent. I need assistance in housing. And they do have different programs for it. They don't have a lot of availability of funds to pass out. The last couple of people that I have sent over that way, they were already capped out on what was available. I know there was a question on Section 8 housing. If we went down that road, I did print out some information here too that I'll even share with you guys. That's a whole nother avenue of things to go down, and I truly don't think that we need to go that route.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get these last three rented, no problem. And the tenants that are moving in have no desire to move out anytime soon either. So I don't think we're gonna see a big turnover rate. So.
We may have the problem that, Mr. Cole brought up about the family members moving in and then, when the senior adult needs to maybe relocate. My mother is currently in a co-op that has a situation as well, so the younger people will move in to help, and then when they move out, they're just dead. So, that,
Right.
yeah. So,
They have a 28 day minimum or maximum that they can sell.
Yeah,
If you go over that, then they're considered
the hard,
Right.
yeah, hard to enforce, because
It's
of
in
the
the lease.
oversight. I know, but he's counting the days, that's all I say.
But you're right, it does happen, people do move in, they are sneaky about it, they try to work the system and avoid, you know, they play that game. I mean, it's just inevitable, you do have people that operate in that capacity. So it'll just be a matter of us keeping eyes on the place, paying attention, communication with my tenants. When I go through the lease, you know, there's spots where they list who the tenant is. If your name's not on this list, you don't get to live here. You know, so I go over all of that with them. And yeah, if we run into that situation, what we do is we approach the tenant, we say, hey, you're in violation of your lease. You have 7 days to fix it, and if not, then we have to go to court. That's the only way that we can handle that. We just cross our fingers and hope that it's really the best we can do at that point.
Well, just so our expectations are set appropriately, how often or how usual or normal is it for there to be some kind of glitch when you move into a new home? I mean, of 8 bungalows, are we gonna expect that every single one, there's gonna be some kind of maintenance issue, right, to begin with? I mean, how, is it infrequent or is it pretty frequent? I don't want anybody to freak out if it's something
I would
normal.
say on the spectrum, it's gonna be way more infrequent, because 9 times out of 10, we're finishing an apartment or something, and then the person's moving right in the next day, right? And so these have had a time to kind of sit there, we keep checking and checking, even yesterday, you know, we just started in the morning, we ran everything, right? Every dishwasher, every washer, every shower for an hour. We found 1 leak in one, you know, it really was just a matter of hand type thing. So we've really tested and retested. We keep going down the crawl space on a regular basis. So knock on wood, I'm gonna say that it's, you know, there might be something right now, but it's hopefully gonna be unlikely. I mean, we've had plenty of time just to work through all the bugs over the past couple of months, but it's just kind of been idling.
And I believe we had that set up, that you were coming down, there'd be inspections periodically in the houses. And that, I believe, is also in the contract.
Yeah.
That when the client signs, they know that
Mhm.
you're coming down to inspect
Yeah.
every so often.
I'm required to give them a 48-hour notice, written notice, I give them a call, send them an email, let them know, hey, we're gonna be popping in, checking the property, making sure everything's the way it needs to be. And if something emergency wise arises, we have the right to go in, take care of business. If that happens, we just have to let them know within a 24-hour, you know, I send them a note, let them know, give them a call, hey, we were in your unit at this time, this is why. So we're able to get in there and check and make sure nobody's smoking in the unit, nobody has an animal in there that they're not supposed to have, or 18 family members living in there with them, you know, so yeah, we'll be keeping eyes on the place and making sure that everybody's following the leads accordingly.
I was gonna ask that, though. What's the frequency of that?
Once a month is
Oh,
what we
that's
have, like, we have availability to go in once a month and check everything over.
I think our maintenance people that will have are gonna notice too it. Oh, they're James Hart, that's sitting in that driveway for a month, you know, I mean.
Yeah, and all of that is in our lease. Those things are in our lease too, so they couldn't come and park out a camper trailer in the driveway and let that set. You can't have a vehicle that's not running, hasn't been moved, not insured, you know, things like that. All of that is listed in there. So pretty in depth of protections against the landlord, but unfortunately, the way that the system is set, the landlord has less rights in a sense than the tenants do, right? So we try to safeguard ourselves the best way possible ahead of time. So if a situation arises, we have to like stand on when we take it to court or whatever.
In the effort of upkeep, is it possible for direct care workers to be scheduled for the people that are in there? Or do the people that are living in the bungalows not meet the income guidelines for direct care work?
I mean, we'd have to do an assessment. There really is no income guideline.
Right.
It would be their health issues or
Right.
whatnot, you know, I mean, so if they qualify for the program, yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's one last thing, and I'm just thinking for the vision in years, they will have a tendency to maybe, if something's not working, just let it go, or don't know how to use it, so they won't necessarily complain. So that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking this can ensure that things are operating properly for them. So if you're doing once a month, I thought that was too big of an effort, but, it's just to make sure things are.
And I'll give you some perspective too. So every tenant that I've signed in with so far, I have them fill out a form, it's informational for them. But I have them do an emergency contact as well, right? So God forbid something happened to somebody and, almost every single one of them, that we have rented so far is a single female that is living there. So if they don't have any family checking in on them or friends or whatnot, I think it's important that, number one, we're checking in. Number two, we do have emergency contact, somebody that we can call in case we.
And also, if they qualify for Meals on Wheels, every day they're gonna be, there's gonna be a driver looking around, so. That's one of the main things that I really like.
I did have a friend ask if they could, plant flowers outside. It's not something I've talked to anybody about, if anybody has any opinions on that, gardening, flowers.
That's really good, yeah.
Make it look nice.
That was my response. I said, I would feel like everybody's gonna say yes, any added value like that, you know, it's gonna make it feel like a community and feel like home. But I told them I was gonna have.
Okay.
One more question actually that came up, a bonfire style pit. So one of them asked if they, you know, could do a little bonfire thing and I was like, I don't feel comfortable with it being on that piece of property, like on the individual, because no matter which way you put it, you're still too close to the neighbor. But we do have a really nice spot when you're coming in on the right-hand side, it's a little clearing there, and I thought it would be really nice if we could maybe, if anybody in the community wanted to go on the picnic table, and we could do a bonfire ring there, where it's away from the unit, in a safe location, and gives them a place to go and sit and enjoy the sunshine, eat their food, whatever, you know. But little community area. Yeah. For them. Yeah, so just an idea of maybe something we can implement, down the road.
Andy,
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Is it gonna be
Yeah,
safe?
sounds good. I think there's a couple good clearings. We made an effort to clear all the underbrush and just got a couple more trees to go. And I think we've come up with a safe spot, and of course, you gotta follow the normal burn rules that everyone else does, but yeah. You know, I know, like, we go out to my wife's parents' hunting camp, and that's just our regular routine, you know, of hanging out at the fire, so. I'd say, yeah, I think we found a good spot.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Oh, what is the move-in date?
When is what?
Move-in date
May 1st.
May first.
for the houses.
Regardless of if we're ready or not, everybody's on May first, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Sarah.
thank you.
You've done
Welcome,
wonderful.
and, all things pop up. And, we'll get those last three rental here in the next week, and it's good.
Okay, Andy Shaw, next on the list. Mr. Shaw,
How's that? Very good.
good.
So we'll go to the houses. So, we got the water turned on, which really was to the entire center. And really the precursor to that was we had to, get our septic system turned. And so that was on the 17th of, last week, and kind of went hand in hand because we needed the septic system functioning in the main building. Had water going. So, yeah, we, got everything cleaned out. We've got all the, water, checked out in every unit. And then, this Friday, or probably, whether it's Friday or Monday, we're gonna chlorinate the entire system. So we'll have Tate come and help drop his chlorine into the actual wells. And then we'll wait till we smell it, at every fixture, and then it'll sit there overnight, then we'll purge that out. That's kind of a final, safety thing. And then today in houses, for instance, we're getting just a couple more final inspections. I'll probably walk through with Harry sometime next couple of days. And then we'll get the CFOs issued for the houses. And then we went back and cleaned up all the branches. There's just a few more. And then even, like the next couple of days, we'll be in there doing, some final cleaning and final touch-ups. So that's the housing. And then darn deer ate most of our landscaping, but I'm not sure that's ever gonna change. So we'll see how that goes. So that's the houses. Yeah, we're just, I'm gonna move the signs, and next week we'll we won't be able to put our cones there anymore, and so we just kind of have to resituate our cones and some of our signs to kind of establish it more as the building and have that road go through. So yeah, it's exciting. Those houses are beautiful. I don't know, like walk in and it's the granite and the showers. I'll show you how the showers operate, but everyone that's been in there is just like, yeah, I'll live here. It was great. So that's that. Going to the building, we're coming right along.
Can I ask a quick question
Yep.
before you move to the building? Will there be mailboxes for each? How's the mailbox thing gonna work?
So the way it's gonna go, I met with Jason a little while back, and we're down just now to a couple different basic boxes. So it's gonna be one of those group settings. So it'll be out near the main building,
Okay.
probably right at the kind of where that first porta potty is on the left right there. And so it'll be out of the main drive for them to pull in, but they can still just wiggle through to their houses. And then it's just gonna be one of those classic post office box trees. There'll be a few boxes that are bigger. If you get it, that would be your normal size boxes. And then you guys, of course, will have one. And then, so yeah, Jason hasn't come out yet, and I kind of wanted to wait just a little bit to see, but yeah, that'll be the basic plan. For you guys, it'd be great, just walk right out and you'll be able to get it. And then for them, it should be smooth, so. Yeah.
We'll have those in before the first.
Oh,
meeting.
yeah. Yeah, and if not, we'll just they're available kind of overnight type thing, so I'll check with Jason tonight. I'll see him actually this afternoon and just make sure. We were down to one of them was gray, one was more squatty and wider and that seemed like the way to go. But then the other one had more flexibility to it. It was a little bit taller, but you had more big boxes. That's where we were in the mail, but yeah, I'll make sure we have that in place and anyhow, going to the building. So the big one was water and septic, of course, and there's just a lot to bring that all on, but it's so great. So we have functioning toilets, functioning seats, our sinks in the building itself. The porta potties we've already canceled that, and they're going to pick them up. Probably might have already picked them up this morning, but we canceled it last week. So it was $600 a month. At some point, it was, we were up to like almost $1,400 a month when it was winter and we had all those porta potties. So that's just another nice thing to get rid of. And then on the gym, so we've got floor down, of course, and yesterday we received all of the hoops and the backboards and the motors and tables and all the kind of related things. And today the guys are in there putting those up. Little lift snafu, they had to run people dropping the lift off, couldn't do it, so they'd run down the middle and did it, but they hope to be finished by Friday night. That's what they're telling me. That Friday or Saturday they'll pull out, and then Kuhn, who is the next step on the floor, so it goes, the hoops go in, and then they'll drop the lines exactly. Then we paint our lines, and they do multiple more coats. Then we come back. The Griffin sports people come back, and they do the pickleball nets and the volleyball nets after the lines are in. So it's a little bit of hopscotch in there. So we're, knock on wood, we're looking good. Like the gym as its entity should be really getting to be 100% towards the end of May. And that's all we'll have the motors, the electric to that, but then the volleyball nets that'll all be situated on the cushions that go onto the beams, and then the scoreboard. So it's all those little kind of things, but that should all be wrapped up by the end of May. So that's kind of one front. And then on the kitchen, everything's in. We somehow this month we decided to take the double ovens from here. So we'll have that last minute thing where whenever this actually gets closed down, we'll snatch the double ovens, bring those over and hook those up. But in the kitchen, it's, plumbing's getting finished, and then the gas is finished. The fire suppression, the hood's finished, and then the electrician just has to hook up a few of the high voltage things, inside, and then once that's 100% done, we'll drop the remaining ceiling tiles. So we did a pretty good clean earlier this week, and it just looks a lot nicer in there. Still take a couple more times, but we're, on the drywall overall in the project, we've only got a couple of spots where we're still finishing the drywall. So we've got 99.9% of all the drywall put up, and probably 98 or 9% of it already tape sanded and finished, right? So we're getting out of this dust phase, and we're getting able to clean the building, which is great. And now when we finish like the office area, we've got it all taped off and everything, but you still get that dust migrating in. So as soon as the final sanding is finished, we've got all new filters for all the HVAC units. And when you get that, you get the new filters put in, and then there's no more dust generation. That's a great turning point. It just makes it a lot better. So that's that. Painting, again, we're probably 99% painted in the whole building. We're running a lot of our fire alarm stuff right now. We've got just a crazy amount of horns and strobes and pull stations, and so all that stuff's mostly in, but still going in. We definitely lost with the ice storm. We lost 5 electricians for over 2 weeks. We still have 2 that are just still working on, they've got long-term clients, and they still don't have their power situated. So it's just hard for me to kind of, tell them to not do that. So we're still down electricians. That costs us some time. So if you go to the fitness area, we're just got to finish wiring some of the lights, and then we can drop ceiling tiles, and we'll put the floor in there. Same with the yoga room. You go into the locker rooms, we've got most of the toilets. They're setting urinals today in the men's area. 90% of the floor is done in both locker rooms, the bathrooms, and lounges, and what have you. Getting ready for our lockers to be delivered, which should be pretty soon. Got electrical and lights on in the men's, but not yet in the women's. So we're just kind of right there in the finish. We've got about 95% of all of our doors installed. There's just kind of a handful of doors, that we've got to situate. Probably 90% of all of our door handles and latches and what have you is done. Talking to the furniture guy, local Miller, he ordered, and so pretty soon you can, whenever it gets a delivery, you can have it brought right into an office, and we'll start putting together the furniture. We're back ordered on the code, so the rubber that goes around the perimeter. And I just got a text from Lucy Cole this morning, and I think she said next week. So that's kind of the final finishing touch when you put the code base on, but it doesn't really hold up anything. It's just if we put the furniture in, we'll have to move it away to put the final coat on. So that's coming. Waiting on a couple more. We have to get a fire alarm inspection before we can drop a few of our final ceiling tiles in the office. But that's no big deal. If you're going to the bathroom in the offices right now, they're just got to put up a toilet paper holder and a couple of grab bars and a mirror, and that's done. So we're really just kind of right there in the finishing. Tomorrow, we were able to get cultured marble, just really much nicer sinks, like the kind of cool, they call them wave sinks, and that'll go in the men's and women's restroom near the dining area, and then also in the locker rooms. And so got a call on the way over here, so I was just a little bit late. The Americast guy is going to be coming tomorrow morning with his crew. So all these things kind of come together pre-chlorination, right? So we want all this, the more sinks and water fountains and everything we have in, when we chlorinate, the easier it is. We always will chlorinate the line. Like we didn't have a particular faucet in, we would chlorinate the line to the faucet, then we just literally put the faucet in a chlorine type mixture and then take it out and put it in. So it's manageable, but the more that it's done before that, the better. Then yesterday we had another full spectrum test on the water. So when we first put the wells in, we did that $1,400 test of everything you can dream of, like VOCs and lead and cadmium and all these kind of things. And then we passed that. And then Dave wanted a whole nother blended test. So we went to our well room yesterday with Dave and Molly and this other fellow, Jason, I think, and so we took a whole nother battery of tests that got turned in. And so I'm sure we're gonna be fine. It's the same water from the same source, but Dave just insisted that we do that. And then we'll do our chlorination test, but that's like you could get the result the next day, you know. And so that's that part of it. Let's see, HVAC, everything's going. We're just in there now, putting in our final dampeners just to be able to throttle each one of the things. We'll kind of get, it's a test and balance what they call, so you're just trying to make sure every room is you don't have one room super hot, another one's just not getting the heat. So they'll be working on that. Plumbing wise, again, it's just hooking up faucets. I'm gonna say all but just a handful of toilets are in, and by the end of this week, we should have most of our faucets in. And then we'll just be again, and most of our grab bars are in, so we're really down to toilet paper holders and mirrors and a couple things like that, some towel dispensers. And then let's see, so we've got two conditions. When we have a low ceiling, we can work on floor before we drop our ceiling tiles, because we can do the ceiling tiles off a ladder, which is, you know, the conference room, the offices, the bathrooms and what have you. But in our hot areas, in the yoga, in the fitness and the main dining area, it has to go ceiling tiles, because we have to do it off a lift. And then once that's all done, then we put the floor in. So we got, and those have to be the big square footage areas that we're kind of waiting on. Let's see, so the garage looking good. We just have to do a couple of, we've got some CO2 sensing fans, and we didn't want to put those in because they're very finicky. And we've been waiting until all of our dust generation's done. And then they're basically set up that if someone pulled a truck into the garage and just let it run, that these really high velocity fans are just going to suck that CO2 out of there. So there's actually a double kind of setup. One actually blows in fresh, one sucks out the CO2. We've got that in the other small storage garage as well, the CO2 system, just in case we had a lawnmower in the future and somebody forgot to turn it off. And so they're quite powerful, and they'll suck all that right out of there, you know. So those are, again, we're waiting on those to put in. The second garage is really looking good, and it's fully painted, fully drywalled, and just got to hang some lights out there. We got to hang some lights in the garage. And so that's where this kind of it's really a fun time in construction, because ironically, it's the busiest time as far as you're back to like long hours, right? Because there's just so much that goes on, but it's really fun because every day, you know, you're seeing substantial changes. Like we've got our fireplace all finished in the entranceway. They're working on doing ceiling cuts in the 22-foot. Our lights are up there. So again, in the main entrance, we get all that electrical done and all of our fire suppression, and we don't need a lift in there anymore, then we can get onto the ceiling part of it. Have the guys doing all the glass, they're just kind of punch list type items, you know, some vinyl here and some glass adjustments there. So, but we made a pretty good punch list for them. They still got a lot to do, but it's just little stuff. So that's the glass people. Driver guys are making good progress. We got 2 guys today. They're so happy. Like when they're operating on scaffolding under plastic and in a heated condition, their productivity is maybe a third of what it is when they're just operating outside. And so they're just so happy. Like right now, we don't need, you know, if we can keep 40-degree nights and, you know, 50 to 60-degree days, they can do the rest of the drive it without having to tarp it. So that's great. And then same with stone guys, we have to, you know, I've been having to like oddly pull people back because I want to get it done too, but we've got to have warm stone in order for our grout and our mortar to adhere, you know. And so every day I'm have to be the guy that says no, when really I want to be the guy that says yes, but you know, the conditions just haven't been right. So, you know, but now we're like this morning, we're actually putting mortar in on the stone, which we've been waiting, quite honestly, for like 2 weeks already from the last time we got to mortar. We just haven't had the weather. So we're just kind of right there and getting that. Those are our 2 big outdoor things. And as soon as we have all that done, we'll drop our topsoil and stone and get some landscaping going. And then let's see, outside, we're gonna start putting our light pole bases in. So same kind of thing, you wanna make sure all your frost is out of the ground, and even if it's had time to dry up pretty good before you start messing with that, because otherwise you open it up and you get a storm and it fills back in, so that's coming. And, that's about it, just push on every front.
I had a couple things before our superintendent leaves. The school, the coaches, athletic director, superintendent, are they all they know what's going on in there and how it all relates to that they're gonna be able to use?
Right, yeah.
That's the question, yeah, so had a couple notes, I was gonna circle back out, when he as well, but, we're really excited to get to sit down and have a face to face on some of that stuff and whatever the details may be. I know there's a lot of athletes that engage in the, whether it's the fitness room or the gym or wherever, so we'll have to work around everybody else that's using it too, so.
And then the other thing, the coordination, for instance, the way it got designed and some of the features, that if there is an ice storm and you had to have the coordination between Wendy and you and as to know, in future years, what we're going to be able to do and how that's going to work.
Yeah, one thing that, I ran the numbers just because it all came up with our septic system. Our septic system is so over the top, right? I just kind of ran the numbers, give me an idea. We have 6 showers. We have, I don't even know, 15 toilets, and then maybe, I don't even know. I'd have to count them up again. 15, let's just say sinks, right? You could run them all 24 hours a day, right? So you could have people taking showers every 10, just constantly. You have people flushing the toilet constantly. And so the ability of the center to handle a lot of people in that regard is unmatched, really. And same with our water supply. Dave forced us into this, essentially a small municipal water system. And so God forbid, if there is an emergency, the center's capacity to handle it is almost, it can handle more than the people you could stick into the building. That's how powerful the whole system is. So yeah, hope it doesn't happen, but you could see, we ended up during the ice storm going up and just people out of town. And so we were going up, checking generators and checking all this up in Alpena and Hillman and what have you. And we knew people that they just couldn't afford to go to a hotel, and you'd have to drive far enough to even find one. And those warming centers get used. I mean, there was a little network on Facebook, this one's available, this one isn't, so it probably will happen, just by the way that it seems like our crazy weather is going. But yeah, someone was talking about getting cots from some group at some point. I can't remember who it was, but you've got that huge storage room, on the other side of the garage. And so, yeah, and God forbid if it's necessary, you can get a lot of cots in that gym, and that system will handle it. You could have people using the bathrooms, taking showers, and that's the other thing is that you would meet people like, I haven't had a shower for 5 days, or whatever the time period was. So that's we'll be looking good if that ever comes up.
Anything else? Anybody? Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Exciting time.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
great.
Andy.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
We'll move on to NEMSCA representative. Kim, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Do you have anything for us?
Just a reminder that in May is the Senior Michiganders Month. There is a activity in Lansing where it's an opportunity for all the related agencies to meet with legislators and really try to make a case for the importance of support of caregivers that are not like home caregivers, home services to seniors, the expansion of that, and then the various uh, insurance programs, My Choice, and stuff like that are available to them. I do have a letter that Lori Sauer sent out. If I'm going to get one to each of you, if you could read through it, sign it as a show of support. That would be helpful for our representatives to take to Lansing with them. So That's all I have for right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Carolyn? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Couple things. I shared this with you, the information on it, last month, but, we have flyers on it now. Going to, please take more than one if you have someplace you can put it. Church, a restaurant you go to, a grocery store, whatever. We are trying to saturate the county, but, one more hand, sending one more out is always helpful. This is a flyer for the presentation that will be a week from tonight at the EMS building on how to use Narcan or naloxone. Those are both medications that can be used to reverse an overdose. It does not have to be an overdose of fentanyl or anything like that, but it is for an overdose. Donna Hardy from Up North Prevention will be doing the presentation, and she's very good. It's at 6 o'clock. We'll have coffee and water and cookies, and it's a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And obviously, if you need to go someplace and you need to leave early, no problem, that's fine. But we welcome you to come. And if one person learns how to use Narcan and then has to use it, that we'll have done what we wanted to do, and that is to educate. I hesitate to say the public, but that is really what it is. Educate the public on how to use it. It is such a preventive, and if you use it and it wasn't needed, it does no harm. So please spread the word, and I hope that I'll see at least some of you, if not all of you, would be wonderful there. Also on opioid, as you know, we have an opioid committee that is managing the money we are receiving from the lawsuits of the pharmaceuticals. This is money that we receive over an 18-year period. And one of the things that there are some very specific things that it can be used for, and some very specific things it cannot be used for. There was special money that was that the state had that was connected to the lawsuits, but not part of the directness. And that was divided up among the PIHPs, which is the NEMRI, Northern Michigan Regional Entity, is the managing entity for substance abuse in this area. They manage, the dollars will filter through them, and they had $1 million that they put out for grants, and grants for helping people with drug issues. We applied for $100,000 for furniture for the new Sunrise Center. Sunrise Center is a treatment center in Alpena. It's 20 plus years old, probably 30 years old. They are building a new building. And we applied for $100,000 to be used for furniture for that building. Not cots, but mattresses, beds, dressers, tables for the dining room, all of that type of thing that the clients and the patients would be utilizing on site. And I'm pleased to say we got the $100,000. So now we don't see a penny of it, but will go really almost directly to Sunrise, but that's okay. We know that that's where most of Alcona people go for a residency for rehab or residency for drug-related issues. And so it will service people in our area. In addition to that, this Saturday is the electronic recycling from 10 to 2. I know that you did have some signs and posters downstairs. On that poster that I handed out last month, it shows the things that they will take. And I think it also tells the things they will not take. But I urge you to go ahead and use that. That's the two biggest things I wanted to share this morning.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to executive director's report. Wendy.
The first thing I have is we served a total of 2,884 meals for the month of March, and 412 of those were congregate. Our in-home service staff, we did just hire another direct care worker. We've been down a direct care worker for several months now. We had, I believe it was 17 or 18 people on our waiting list, and Cindy's been making a schedule for the new direct care worker, and we're down to 4 people now on our waiting list, so that was great news. We do have a mandatory staff meeting scheduled for May 2nd, and Patty and I met with Jeff Meaden. He's the executive director of the new PACE that will be coming into Alpena. We met with him on 4/10. I've invited him to come to our all-staff meeting on Friday the 2nd. He's gonna speak from 9:30 to 10:30. So if any of you guys on the board wanna come listen to what he has to say, he'll be speaking from 9:30 to 10:30. Friday, May 2nd. And then, we do have the mobile Secretary of State coming back on site on Monday, May 12th from 10 to 2:30. And then one thing we started last Monday, we started line dancing. And, oh my gosh,
It's so cool.
they had so much fun. There was 14 of them last week. We had 17 yesterday. I actually think we had a couple more than 17, but they were like, no, that's not for me. I'm going downstairs and playing bingo. So we had bingo going downstairs. We had line dancing, and she signed up for 4 weeks to do it, the instructor. But she said if it keeps continuing like this, she'll continue to come as long as people want to come and do it. So things are coming back. Things are coming back. That's pretty much all I have for right now.
Thank you.
I have a question, Wendy. Are we any closer to selling our bus?
I had 4 people I've been working with. One of them for sure dropped out. And the other 3, I've sent them pictures and everything, so I will definitely follow back up with them. I just have not had time to follow back up.
I wonder if we could reduce the price, if that would help.
We didn't really even have a price thrown out there yet.
Oh.
I mean, I have an estimate which, the Chevy Garage had given us, but I mean, I've never said this is exactly the price, you know? We sent them the pictures and did that, so.
So we are paying insurance on it and everything now and having it just sit there, so. Yeah, I'd like to see that go sooner rather than later. Rather than keep putting money into it.
Hello, you have one?
That's all I have, yeah.
Okay. Move on, treasury report.
And so,
415.5, assets, working funds, $235,626.23. Savings, $599,561.69. New building project fund, $1,349,490.60. Total amount spent as of 4/15/25. $12,257. $12 million. $257,748. Oh, so we'll need a motion to accept the treasurer's report subject to audit as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Turek, seconded by McKinnon to accept the treasurer's report subject to audit. Roll call, please.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pinder. Chesney. McKinnon,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Schlicker,
Yes.
Turek, yes, Von Fittel.
Yes.
Pass. Okay, we'll move on to committee reports.
I have a question
Oh,
on this before. Is it
Okay.
too late?
Yeah, it is, but what was your question?
We're over the 12 million, so where's this?
It was 12.5.
Oh, so we're still
We're
not
still-
over it then? Oh, okay,
Plus all the money that we've made in interest, so.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
we're still good.
okay, thank you.
So we'll go on to committee's report. We really only had the executive committee.
Committee reports, I have two things to say that in case anybody was wondering, we were able to get out of all investments that had any kind of risk before the market collapsed. So no money was ever in danger of being lost, but our interest rate is lower now, but we have zero risk. But so we didn't have any losses. And the other thing is we have to file for an extension on the building project. And we did this once before and they sent us a form, but last time they put Phil's name on this, for inexplicably, this time they put my name on it to sign. I'm not authorized to sign, it's gotta be Phil, but rather than having them wait another 2 weeks to change it, I would like to ask for authorization to sign this, get the extension going rather than have any delay. But why they did it that way, I don't know.
I'll make a motion that we allow Dr. Turek to sign the extension paper.
Motion by Schlicker, seconded by Pinder to allow Dr. Turek to sign the extension papers to the state. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. You have authority to sign it. What else do you have, Bob? Anything else?
Nothing.
Nothing? Anybody else have anything?
Um,
For
I have-
committees, for committees.
oh, no,
This is committee report.
okay.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to finished business, unfinished business.
I don't know if this is unfinished business or new business, but I would like to, and I talked to Dr. Turek a little bit about this. Being that we have been in this building now, it'll be 6 months in June. I would suggest that we pay Brad at least the taxes or a little bit of something. Because, you know, this is his building now and we're here. He lets us have pop-up pantry over there free of charge. Our senior commodities is free of charge. I would like to do some kind of compensation to Brad.
I completely forgot to bring that up. I'm glad you did. I talked to Kevin Brittle, our investment guy, and asked him to figure out from January 1st, when we were supposed to be out, till let's say June 1st, if those monies, that 150,000 or 140 some thousand had been put in an interest bearing instrument, how much money it would have made. And then I can get to the board and say, this is the amount that Brad would have gotten if he had been able to keep the money on his own. So, and I did speak to Brad about that and let him know that we would be talking about that, but Kevin didn't get back to me yet. So I'm hoping by next month, he'll have a figure that says, look, if he had had this in a savings account for this amount of time, he would have made this money. And then the board can decide to reimburse Brad. You know, Brad, when I talked to Brad, he said, that's the furthest thing from my mind. I'm not, but you know,
That's what he said
I
to
think
me
it's a
too,
good
but-
gesture and it's only fair.
Okay.
So yes,
I'll bring it up
by
next
next
month
month, I
then.
hope
Okay.
it'll be on the agenda.
Unfinished business, anybody else got any unfinished business they'd like to? Okay, we'll move on to new business.
I think we can delay this for one more month. The issue regarding the minutes, I think we can take that up next month.
Okay,
I think it might take a little bit of time and I don't want to
Right.
keep the lawyer waiting any more than we have to.
okay. Public comment, limited 2 minutes. Anybody have anything? No? Okay.
Sorry for being late.
Excuse.
You're worth waiting for.
So sorry.
Director's additional comments, and concerns. We'll close the public comment.
Do we have any idea why the new guy didn't come? Did
Have
he,
no idea.
maybe he just forgot or?
Maybe.
should we-
Possibly, and I didn't think to remind him, but it is kind of strange that it's the fourth week that it's only April 22nd, you know, so normally it's like it seems like it's the last week, but there's 5 Tuesdays this month, so.
We should maybe reach out to him though, and, cause I'm guessing he forgot.
Yeah, so am I. And, you know, and I didn't think to remind,
We're all here.
It happened today.
You what?
We're all here.
Well,
We're Tuesday.
yeah, I know, but the
Okay.
new guy,
I
I'm
know,
saying.
I know. We'll reach out to him. Then. I sometimes see him in a restaurant, so I didn't go this morning. Okay, let's move on to, Bob. We have that. Next on the agenda is our closed session.
I would make a motion that we enter into closed session to discuss with legal counsel possible settlement options regarding a pending legal matter.
We have to close our session right now first before we can move into closed session. So we have to make a motion to,
Recess.
Does that have to be on the agenda? though?
what's that? It is.
Closed session
It
where?
is.
That's why I said at the
Okay,
beginning when we set the
beginning,
agenda
at the
that I
beginning.
didn't print out a whole new one, but we were gonna add
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we have to close this meeting,
Don't close it. Recess it.
go into recess on this meeting and then go into closed session.
So do I change my motion?
Yes,
Is that part of my motion to go into recess?
You say recess.
I'll second it.
okay, motion by Jerick, seconded by Schlicker to go into recess on our open meeting, go into closed session at this time, which is,
Go into close.
Do they have to be part of my motion? Should I
I'll let-
rephrase? Okay.
That's the concept.
Thank you, Judy.
we have to ask the people in the crowd to vacate so we can go in closed session.
I'm gonna use the restroom for.
And we move the tables closer together so we can.
Thank you, Eric.